everybody. Welcome to All the Things Podcast. It's our first episode.
Woo woo!
Yeah.
Did we just become the Woo Girls?
I'm not that drunk.
What's in your cup?
Kool-Aid?
And soju?
Just because we're in South Korea doesn't mean everything is soju'd.
So you think you can drink? Just kidding. That was terrible pun. That was terrible.
Anyways.
I'm normally much more punny.
No, she's not.
God.
Anyway, so if you guys have been watching our channel, you've seen the intro to the podcast, talking about a little bit of what to expect. And then you've seen all of our intros, a little bit about us. And so what are we talking about today for our first episode?
I think it's all about my voice and how beautiful it is and how much people enjoy listening to me, and especially when I have a head cold, super nasally, and I got the little sniffles.
This is the perfect time to record your voicemail message. Do people still do that? I don't have a voicemail set up.
I don't either because my Korean phone just goes lots of hungul.
Well, this is how slow my brain was. You said voice mail message, and it went voice space MALE, and I was like,
what?
That's a thing?
This is husband McCormick. You have reached the McCormick household. Please leave your message.
No, do you remember how once upon a time you used to really craft?
Oh yeah,
your voicemail.
Get out,
right?
Did
you ever do a song? Did you ever do a song? I used to do songs.
No.
Oh,
Like sing a song?
No, not sing a song. You'd literally have where you didn't say anything, but your voicemail would literally be the song, your favorite song of that moment.
No, I always liked to do I like to do the prank message. Hello.
Oh God, I hate when people do that.
I'm the person that talks to the prank message for 5
Me
minutes,
too.
and then it's
I'm like, hello, hey.
Mostly because I don't care that you're actually on the phone. I just wanted to talk in the first place.
But we're not talking about voicemail. We're talking about voices. And as women, as strong women, we are still having the conversation in 2019 about the areas.
2019?
Yeah. Did you just get here? You just got here? No.
For 4 more months. 4 more months.
I know. It's been really fast.
I can't believe 2019 is here and wait. Yeah. Well,
it's here. It's been here.
It's here.
It's been here. It's been here.
So Hannah doesn't have a voice because she doesn't have a brain today.
We're taking this away.
It's water.
But we're still having the conversation in 2019 about women's voices and our where we are heard. And it's a bit controversial. We're not going to get into it right now, but there was a whole big thing about abortion and silencing women's voices, and I think that's an episode later, but we're still having the conversation about women's voices, and that's crazy. So I think we really wanted to kick off with where we felt heard, we were just discussing.
Just in general, where we feel heard.
Right. I think there's a big difference between where you feel heard and where your opinion is truly mattered. Because someone can be like, yeah, okay,
yeah,
sure,
I hear you.
I hear you,
but are you listening?
But exactly, and it's sometimes what you're hearing and then the actions that follow it are two totally opposite things.
That's true. Oh man, you just gave me
Do you have an example? like day-to-day life.
Oh, I have an example. Back when I was in the Navy.
Navy vet in the house.
Yeah. When I was training to fly on the E6B Mercury, I had an instructor that when I was training with them, they were telling me, you're doing great, you're learning so many amazing things, you're doing really well in your job.
So they were talking
They were talking I was on the right track to be where I was. And then I come back from that deployment. The next thing I know, I'm being called into the training commander's office for not meeting the standards. And so the whole entire time, I thought I was on the right track. Would I have corrected? Had I known there was an issue? And so being told one thing to then like have it totally like flipped, like
It's almost
Missy
like
Elliott style.
It's
Like
like they were telling you what you wanted to hear.
right. And then so that was the first experience where I really found that if the actions don't follow the words, do they really even listen?
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely a big difference between listening and hearing. And I know for me, I really did not feel like I had a voice when I was married to my ex-husband. And I remember, like, I just did not feel valued, like, at all when I was married to my ex-husband. And I would try not to be that nagging wife. And when I reflect, I think sometimes I kind of was, and not that I was trying to be, but I think that I was just so miserable in that marriage that I kind of fell into that role. And I remember, like, saying all these things that I wanted to happen. I was like, you know, I really want you to wine and dine me a little bit more. I want some more romance in our relationship. And we were a young married couple, so we didn't have like a lot of funding and stuff, a lot of finances. And I really wanted a griddle. Like, I just really wanted a griddle. Like, I wanted to make pancakes and make bacon. I don't know. I just had these breakfast dreams. And and we, you're like, I can get down with that.
Breakfast dreams.
You know, so I just had breakfast dreams, right? So,
well, we know what to get for Christmas from Hannah.
I have like 3 griddles now, okay? Like 3. So that was like my divorce gift. And so we finally separated, and I put my foot down and I was like, you know,
Can't buy me a griddle.
I can't do this anymore. And I kid you not, ladies, within those few weeks where he was trying to win back my affection, he sent flowers to my job. He was like sending me cards. He bought me a griddle. Like, all these things that I had been saying all of a sudden manifested. And you know what? Those incidents made me more angry because
so you heard me this
whole time. You were listening. You heard me. You were listening, but nothing that I said was valid to you because you really didn't value me. And it's only because I walked away that you finally were like, yeah. So I know in my marriage, that's another one that I know we're going to talk about because October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. But yeah, my marriage is definitely an area that I did not feel heard at all. Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're not a man.
Hopefully,
Well, man.
hopefully you find a guy that hears you.
Oh, I will, honey. I will hear his paycheck too. Look, I need more griddles.
One for eggs, one for pancakes, one for bacon, one for your sweet potato breakfast hash.
Yes.
You know.
The sausage.
No cross contaminating.
Right. Yeah. Or we could just go really big and just do like hibachi style.
Flat top.
Literally just like the Waffle House, like flat across the counter.
Griddle top. Yeah.
And then we could do all the things.
All the breakfast things.
What about you? I know the original question was where you heard, but we kind of whatever. Where have you not felt heard?
Being a military spouse. I don't feel heard, appreciated. On a day-to-day
cut deep.
Right.
Oof.
I appreciate you.
And it's so infuriating because every single day you will hear, no matter what part of the branch you're a part of, you'll hear the families matter, the spouses matter, we thank you, we appreciate you. And like, we're all sitting in the background like, sure. Like, sure, they'll make these big events, they'll make a big deal out of us. I think there's a spouse's appreciation thing that happens on base, but on a day-to-day basis, if like, and Hannah knows my pain, like we go somewhere and we're like, hi, I want to do this, and they're like, sorry, where's your husband? Or where's your sponsor? And you're just like,
sponsor.
Yeah, where's your sponsor? And even
like when I almost got kicked out of the country.
yeah, like Hannah was legitimately needing something to stay in country, and they're like, sorry, your husband's not here. Can't help you.
Where's your sponsor?
Where's your sponsor? And it's like the amount of times I've heard that. And then even when you can get your foot in the door, it's not your social security number, it's your sponsor's social security number. Like, I have legitimately forgotten my social security number at times because I say his so often.
Yeah, and they can get so snappy about it. Because they don't specify, and they'll say, okay, let me get the last 4 of the social. And then you say
you rattle off the last 4 of yours.
Yeah, and they're like, no.
Oh, I can't find it in the system. It's like,
the sponsor social. And you're like, oh,
well, you realize
that's not fair because I'm still in the system as a Navy active. I don't know how the Air Force got me in their system from being in Oklahoma, and they're just like, so you're independent? And I'm like, yeah,
and that's
that way for a minute.
And that's the other thing.
Dependent.
The word is dependent. You're called a military dependent. Like, if that's not soul crushing, dependent.
And it's just like, it's so crazy. You can't do anything. Like, my husband works 9 to 5 on normal days. And so when do you legitimately expect him to get out of work and come help me do this thing?
Yeah.
Like, believe it or not, he has to be at work.
Yeah.
Well, and then I feel like I'm a burden.
Right?
Yeah, it's tough.
Can you come to this appointment with me?
Right.
Can be my adult. I'm not one.
Yeah, but your husband's chain of command, they do a pretty good job of being flexible.
Here they were good. Here they've been really good. Back in Fort Carson, oh hell no. Trying to get him, like, he was legitimately at work from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. one day, and I was like, I need you. Where are you? And they were not understanding. They didn't care. Like, they were just like, suck it up, buttercup, figure it out.
Yeah, that's the tough thing about being military affiliated, being military spouse, being a military kid. And, you know, my mom was active duty military, just retired after 32 years. You're a Navy veteran, your husband's active duty Air Force. And I think, and your family has a long history of military service, and
Army specifically.
I think we definitely should dedicate a podcast to talking about the nuances of being affiliated to the military. Because, I mean, dude, it's great. I love our country. I think the service, awesome, right? But there's some cons.
There are.
There's
I
some
would agree
cons.
with that.
Yeah, there's definitely pros and cons, but...
And we're not rich just because we're affiliated with the military, y'all. Like, I don't know why people think the military is just, like, giving us all this money. No, we are pinching pennies.
They giveth and they taketh away more.
We are pinching pennies. Yeah.
Okay.
So is there anywhere else that you guys might feel heard or not heard?
I will say I have been working and developing my career now for a long time. Since 2008? 2006. Oh wow, oh my god, I'm old. And as a woman in the workforce, I'm not gonna lie, there have definitely been a lot of moments where I've been mansplained.
Oh, I love being mansplained.
And I know it's your favorite, right? And there's definitely been a lot of moments where I know that it's because I'm a woman. It's harder to get my point across, even if I have a great idea. It's really frustrating, very frustrating. So I hate that is still an area. And my entire career has been social services, which is dominated by women, but it's still a challenge. It is still a challenge. Yeah.
I think we're just starting to get into some really good leaders in the military that are commanders now that have been around enough that are open to listen more. It was probably a few weeks ago I went to actually I got like roped in. They were just like, hey, you come to this meeting, like I want your opinion. And then of course I'm at this meeting and it's like the commander, it's all these really high ups in the med group.
You're really high up in the med group too.
No, I just sit by the people high up in the med group. My office is just down the same hallway.
No, you walk on water at the med group.
They do love my face, and I don't know why. But they wanted to know, as spouses and as people that use their medical services, how and what needed to be fixed. Mm-hmm. And so sitting in this meeting, they're like, we want someone who's non-command sponsored. So anyone who's not military, that means the military didn't pay for me to come to Korea. That meant my husband and I decided that I was going to move to Korea on our own funds, mm-hmm. and that I understood that I could not use medical, that I would not be offered a job on base, and that if we had children, but we don't, that they would not be enrolled in the school system. And so we knew that coming over, but because I got into medical, and working with them, they listen to everything I say. They're like, we want to know all about these non-command sponsor wives and what their needs are. We want to know about the Army wives. He's like, bring all these people in. So the meeting I had 15 minutes notice of and got pulled into, I was doing all of the talking. And felt like I was the only one that had an opinion and was way overheard. Mm-hmm. And then I got out of there and I was like, oh no. Was I the person in the meeting that over-talked the meeting? Oh my God. Literally, everyone else in the, around the table is just, rolling their eyes. Heavy sigh. Mm-hmm. I really hoped I wasn't that person.
Yeah. But, one thing I will say, here at OSAN, we have some dynamic women leaders.
We do.
We have some powerful military female commanders, Lieutenant Colonel Krause, Lieutenant Colonel Newport, and I'm saying saying these names like you guys know, right. You guys know these lieutenant colonels, right?
These are women that started out as enlisted and worked their way mm-hmm. to being officers, but because they were both of those, they are the most open, they voice their opinion and people listen to them. Mm-hmm. They challenge you to voice mm-hmm. your opinion. Women that empower other women's voices, it's so amazing because you're just oh, I can say that and I can do those things.
Yeah. And that's definitely where I feel most heard, is around other women. Around other strong women. And I know that's one of the big reasons why we wanted to do this podcast, is because around other women, we find our strength, we find our voice, and we can cultivate it. And I love that.
Yeah. I was just having a conversation with my husband the other day. I don't know how we got on the topic, but I was like, I think we were actually talking about this episode. And I was like, I've legitimately started to get worried about the career field that I'm going into, because I'm going to school for business management. And my husband was like, oh, why? What's going on? What's your thought process? And I was like, it's typically, you see the pay difference, the females not getting treated the same in the career fields that are predominantly male, mm-hmm. and business is predominantly male.
It still is, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Most CEOs, you'll probably see a man in that spot.
There are more male CEOs named John than there are female CEOs.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, and that's why I told my husband, I was like, I'm really worried that I'm gonna get going in the business field and I'm gonna feel the wrath of that. I'm gonna have to face the problem of, well, my coworker who does the exact same thing is getting paid more than me because he's a male. And my husband, oh man, clapped to him. He was like, you know what? If you get to that point and we realize that's happening to you, we're gonna fight. Mm-hmm. Because that's not cool, and it's never cool for anybody to face that.
Yeah, I love my honorary by force cousin. He's so awesome.
But something I also realized, I don't feel heard as an Army spouse in an Air Force community.
Oh.
You're not even allowed to use the library. Why would you feel heard?
I can't check out a book.
Yeah, those that's not peer to peer. I don't know, military to military. I don't know, whatever. Those branch to branch. There we go. Branch to branch. Those nuances are kind of different.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like when I was pregnant.
You were pregnant? I just stole your line.
There was this like something like baby, like basically you signed up to get a baby shower gift because obviously over here it's a lot harder for people to throw you a baby shower. I didn't get a baby shower and I wasn't surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's really hard over here, and so they were doing this gift, like you sign up and they'll make you like a baby shower gift, and I was like, oh, that's cool. So I tried to sign up. The minute I said Army spouse, she goes, oh, I'm sorry, you can't sign up. And I was like, really? She was like, yeah, sorry, this is for Air Force only.
Oh, that's tough, man.
Okay.
That's tough.
That mind boggles me because I was always on an Air Force base, like as Navy, being like heavies and stuff. So, like all I had was Air Force.
And I don't know if it's because like Camp Humphreys is right down the road, and they're like, you have an Army base right there. Like, why don't you go utilize their stuff?
But their
Because I live here.
Right,
and it's not quite stood up yet. They're new.
Yeah.
They're new.
They're building.
New.
Yeah. And I love like the right down the road because it's what 13 miles? Is it 13 miles from
that was
here?
13 kilometers.
Okay, so it's probably like 13 kilometers. Either way, 13
Whatever.
miles or 13 kilometers.
It's like 45 minutes on a good day.
Right.
With no traffic.
So it's like
Or construction.
Or construction.
It's Asia miles. It's not your regular miles. This is gonna take you a minute to get there.
Yeah, and so no, it's not right down the road. And quite frankly, when I think about having to drive to Humphreys, I'm like, okay, mentally prepare.
Right.
Here we go.
Right. But it is an amazing installation, but it is quite the trek.
Yeah. So, and then to find out that like Camp Humphreys has vice versa, like all of these different programs, and will welcome the Air Force with open arms.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
yeah, that's true. For the most part, yeah.
I'm just gonna sip my tea over here.
Yeah.
Be salty.
Yeah. I think that's a valid point. That branch to branch nuances, they can be quite particular. Quite particular. Yeah. I don't think there's many other places where I don't necessarily feel. You know where I don't feel heard, and you guys are gonna laugh at me. The gym.
I thought you were gonna say your daughter.
Oh yeah,
I thought you
that's
were
for
gonna say
sure.
Popeyes.
Yeah. Oh, don't talk about Popeyes. Oh, but yes, the gym. Okay, yes, Popeyes for sure. She didn't listen to me. I did not get my red beans and rice. She gave me freaking mashed potatoes. Anyway, moving forward.
This happened like 20 minutes ago. So.
And then my daughter, she's just tweening, whatever. She's tweening, like they call it tweens or something like that, right? Yeah.
I drove by her today, walking down the street, looking all angsty.
Yes, and I'm just like, ugh. But the gym, like I don't even talk at the gym and I don't feel heard. Like that damn weight room. Why? There's just so much testosterone and like I'm like, oh, how do you use? Oh, you know what? I'm just gonna go over here to this little elliptical machine.
I was literally just talking to Hannah about this because I told you I'm starting a workout and I started yesterday.
Good job,
Yeah.
good girl.
I didn't mean to yawn at that.
Oh God, you're boring.
She exercises.
Oh, get on our level.
But, like, so I went right after work. My husband, because my son was with me, so we swapped, and he took our son home. And so I went into the gym, looked around, and it was so full. And I was like, dang, I should have expected this right after work. So I went and got on the elliptical for a little while. And then I went to go to lift weights. and there was people everywhere, and I was so upset because the few spots that I could go, I was getting like harsh judgment stares. Like, and I decided right then and there, I don't think I like working out on military bases because people are always like working out. They're so fit.
They are so fit.
And so like someone like me who's not so fit that walks in there just trying to better themselves gets harsh judgment stares, and I'm like, you guys make us not want to do this, right?
Like my trainer, dude, is ripped, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but he can't pick anything up, so it doesn't count.
But yeah, the gym is tough. The gym is tough on military bases. But there's a mom gym. I'm sorry, that's rude. There's a parent gym.
Yes, I know.
It's kind of like tucked in the corner.
And it's outdated.
Oh, JK.
I've never been.
Me
I'm not
neither.
a parent.
You're a fur mom.
Yeah, but they don't allow those to run around in the gym.
You should do it.
Oh my gosh, that would be hilarious.
I would be like,
You should do it.
You'd be like on the elliptical, like, what the heck is this?
And I bet you somebody would be listening to you.
Or I'd be listening to some other woman chewing me out.
Yeah, for sure.
God.
Yeah, that
Do
would
you
be.
not know what this is for? Parents.
I'm a parent too.
My four-legged baby right here. Problem, bro?
She's potty trained. Is yours?
You see, I got the carrier, like the snacks. Oh yeah, but we still got a lot of work to do as women, and it's not on us, right? It's on everybody. Like we should all be feminists, right? Like we can't do this without the support of everyone
Not
else.
the extremist feminists.
Yeah, like
feminists.
we don't need to be bra burners because we need support.
I do. I need
Like,
that lift and separation.
yes, we need support, but it's not up to just us, right? We have to utilize everybody, and that's why we have to keep having these conversations.
Yeah.
So that
And that's like you said, that's why we started this podcast. We want everyone. Well, first off, we wanted to have the conversations that we're not hearing on a day-to-day basis out in the community, and we want everybody to feel heard.
Mm-hmm.
So if you liked this and you want to keep hearing what we have to talk about, stay tuned next week. We'll be uploading another episode.
We want to know, where do you hear? Where do you
hear
hear?
her?
Where do you hear? Yes. Where do you feel heard? And where do you not feel heard?
And I'm totally gonna need you to edit that out. Make sure
And follow us on social media.
like,
Yes.
subscribe, and do all the things.
All the things. Thanks for tuning in.